My name is Isabella. I live in Poland, Ohio.
And when did you buy your Volt from Sweeney Chevrolet?
October 2012.
Okay. Um, and what made you want the Volt?
I had been looking and waiting for an electric car for a very long time. The electric cars that were on the market, I wasn't really happy with because of range anxiety, which is basically the feeling that you're limited on your range, how far you can go, how far you can get away from your house. You have to worry about your driving patterns, your travel patterns. There's a whole lot of concern with a regular battery electric vehicle that the Volt solved all those problems. It's a no compromise electric car.
Okay. And after almost a year and a half, are you still happy with the Volt?
It's the best car I've ever owned, ever. I'm 60 years old. This is the best car I've ever owned.
What about if you had to take a guess, what's your average gas mileage?
I think I'm getting about 120 miles to the gallon. Let's do it a little differently than just say miles per gallon. Let's talk about fuel costs per year. My previous vehicle, I was getting 23 miles to the gallon, and I kept real accurate records because I wanted to know what kind of fuel costs I was getting for the vehicle. It cost me about $1,700 the last year I owned my car. And I bought the Volt. I've owned it 18 months. The first year of operation, my driving patterns are exactly the same. Nothing's changed on how I drive this vehicle. My driving patterns, my costs for fuel, I used 48 gallons of gas all year, um, compared to what I did before, which was about 500 gallons and $1,700 in cost. You also have to add in the cost of electric to drive an electric car, to be fair. My electric costs went up at my house about $25 a month, so that's $300 a year plus the $200 for gas. I spent $500 all year for fuel for this vehicle compared to $1,700 from my previous vehicle. So I'm saving $1,200 right off the bat in fuel costs. Plus, when you're driving an electric vehicle, there's all kinds of things you want to think about. Smoothness of operation. There is no transmission, so you don't have gear changes. Quiet. It's a whole lot quieter than a gas car. Smoothness of drive. My wife thinks it's the smoothest car she's ever driven and ever ridden in ever. It's just a great vehicle.
Okay. And how often, if you had to kind of ballpark it, how often would you say you have to fill the Volt up with gas?
I fill it up with 8 gallons every 2 months. I use a gallon of gas a week.
Okay. And what about maintenance? What's the maintenance like on it?
Because you have what's called regenerative braking, your brake pads don't wear out. I expect the brake pads to last the life of the car. Oil changes you do once every 2 years instead of once every 3,000 miles. Uh, the only maintenance I've invested in the car in 18 months is a set of tire rotation. It cost me $18. That's my entire maintenance for the vehicle I've owned in 18 months.
Okay. And what made you choose the Volt over other hybrids like the C Max or the Prius or any of the other electric cars like the Leaf? You kind of touched on range anxiety and things,
Battery
but
electric vehicles, in my opinion, right now, until they get the range up, and the only one that really has real range right now is the Tesla, and it's just too expensive. Can't afford it. The other cars, like the Prius or the C Max, they're not really running electric all the time. They're more of a generic hybrid with electric assist, which means that you're still running the gasoline engine a whole lot more than the Volt. With the Volt, you run that first 10.5 kilowatts of electric, and the range can be anything from 35 to 50 miles, depending on what other options like heat or air conditioning or all kinds of reasons for the range variation. But still, you run the electric range first, then the gasoline engine kicks on, and you're getting 40 miles to the gallon when that's running. With my driving patterns, I use gasoline 1 day a week. There's one on Tuesdays. I have to make a run in the car up for about 70 miles, so I get that 35 to 40 miles electric. Gas engine kicks on. That's when I use that 1 gallon of gas. Every other day of the week, I am running no gasoline at all. It's strictly electric. But I need that extra range for that 1 day a week. That's why I didn't look at the iMEV from Mitsubishi or the Prius plug-in. They don't get enough range. I'm just not happy with that range. I think the Volt was the better way to go.
Okay. And how was your buying experience here at Sweeney? I know you bought the Volt. You bought the Volt back when it was a new concept. How was the buying
It was
experience?
wonderful. Actually, I was here several years ago when I first heard that the Volt was coming out as a General Motors Chevrolet vehicle. I stopped in and asked to have my name put on a list. I was number one on that list. They kind of thought I was crazy, but I was very interested in the vehicle and wanted to see one as soon as it came out. When they got one here, I came, took a look. Buying experience was wonderful. Beth knew the vehicle, the purchase department where you go sign all the papers, very easy to deal with, no muss, no fuss. I was in and out and very happy.
Okay. And what would you like people that are kind of debating about buying a Volt or over other vehicles to know about the car? If you had to tell them some words of wisdom.
Think about your driving patterns. If your driving patterns are very low and you can get away with a battery electric vehicle, I think that's the right way to go. If you are concerned about wanting to have a single vehicle that can be everything, the Volt's the right way to go because you don't have that range limitation. If you want to get in the car and drive to Florida, I can jump in the car right now and head for Florida without any thought about it at all. It's just when the battery runs low on the charged up battery, the gasoline engine kicks in, not to drive the wheels, but to run a generator that just provides more electricity, and you can go as far as you want. That's why I say it's a no compromise vehicle. The government and General Motors did a very large study as to driving patterns in this country and found that 80% of the people drive less than 40 miles a day. So with a battery range of 35 to 50 miles is what you get on the Volt, 80% of the people in this country could use this car and use no gasoline at all, or cut their consumption way down. My gasoline consumption is cut 90%. I'm real happy with that. And if you think of the long-term cost, total cost to operate and own a vehicle, a Volt sounds expensive up front, but if you look at it long-term, it really isn't. The studies have been done that say after 5 years, it's comparable in cost to a Cruise. So if you add up all the other costs to drive a car, not just the upfront sticker price, Volt is a really good deal. I'm very happy, and I'm looking forward to other models that General Motors is going to come out with that use this platform, and hopefully I'm going to buy one for my wife.
Sweeney.